Hey, beautiful and exotic women of the world. So, I have a dilemma that I want to share with you all. I currently am in a dance class, a specific type of dance class, and it is very challenging, it is very fulfilling and fun. But there is someone at my dance class who I am sure is trying to intimidate me. And I will give you guys kind of the scope and the background as to what's going on, and I just want to rant and kind of get my feelings off about this. Like I said before, every time something happens to me, I'm going to always use it as a opportunity to warn others and to kind of share with you all the things that I go through, because it will never end. When you're an exotical, when you're a beautiful woman, the attacks never stop. So to give you guys context, I've been going to this class for almost a year now. I started in October of 2023. So I've been going for a while and I've gotten really good. And I started in an intro class and I was in the class with this one girl. We'll call her Mira, and then we'll call the other girl Hannah. Just to give you guys an idea, both Mira and Hannah are white. There are other exoticals that attend that studio that I go to, but they're not in the levels that I was in when I first started. I didn't see them until more recently when I leveled up. I was the only black girl. I was the only exotical there. And so when I first got to the class, I remember waiting in the waiting room, and there were a bunch of other girls lined up sitting down waiting to go into class. And I happened to make conversation with Mira. And so me and her were making conversation and everything was good. And then lo and behold, some hunchback, unattractive woman walks in, looks like she's out of place, but then comes and stands in front of me and Mira talking. So I kind of just ignore her and keep having my conversation. And Hannah the hunchback interjects. She interjects into the conversation and includes herself in the conversation. And so part of me was like, does she not realize that we're having a conversation and you can't just include yourself in someone's conversation? Neither of us know you. We're all getting to know each other for the first time. It was just weird. And in no way am I saying that you can't make conversation when you're first getting to meet someone, because that's how we socialize. So I completely understand that, but this is not the case. She didn't even introduce herself or say hello. She kind of just jumped in, and it was just took me aback. I was just really shocked, because where I come from, that's considered rude. I don't know where she's from, but that was just very rude and inconsiderate. As she was interjecting herself and the conversation kept going, she was only addressing Mira. So it was almost as though she was trying to intimidate me and push me out of a conversation that was started outside of her. So I remember this happened, and I told her, I said, me and her were having a conversation. She was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I could relate to what you were saying. She tried to play it off and be smooth. So I caught it that first time it happened, but it happened again, you guys. It happened again the next week that I had gone in, and I just realized that she's just weird. She doesn't want me to maybe speak to Mira, and I kind of just got this vibe that Hannah just wants to be friends with Mira and Mira only. She doesn't want me to have an ally or a friend or someone to talk to, because every time I would be having a conversation with Mira, it was like she would find her way in the conversation, and then instead of addressing the both of us in the conversation, she would only address Mira. She would purposely leave me out of the conversation. So I kind of just chalked it up to she is trying to isolate me and intimidate me. And I just thought it was laughable, because she is not someone who I would ever feel intimidated by, but she was trying to make me feel intimidated. She was trying to make me feel threatened because she was intimidated and threatened by me, even though I never spoke to her a day in my life. I never had any type of conversation with her. I never looked at her. So it was really puzzling and strange to me why this person who I never had any interactions with had all this vitriol and energy for me. And so as the months went on, I still was cordial with Mira, because that's the original person who I had gotten along with and gotten on with. And none of us are the best of friends, but we are cordial. We say hello to each other. We cheer each other on in class. And I noticed that Hannah never cheered me on, never wanted to acknowledge me. But anytime I was having a conversation with Mira, she wanted to interject. She wanted to be a part of it. And she wanted to push me out of the conversation that I started or I was having. Also, just for context, Mira and Hannah are thick as thieves now. They're best friends. They only engage with each other now in class, when it used to be me, Mira, and then this other girl who no longer goes to the studio, and Hannah. So it kind of got awkward, and now they're best friends, and that's fine because they have more in common with each other than I do. So enjoy. But I really wasn't looking for a friend. I just was minding my business and happened to have a good conversation with Mira. And this girl, for whatever reason, was really annoyed and pissed off that I was having a good conversation with somebody and that I wasn't the black girl that was sitting alone looking miserable and sad and uncomfortable, you know? And I think that's what her ultimate goal and mission was and is to make me feel uncomfortable and to get me to stop coming to the studio. So I kind of just distanced myself, stopped talking. And recently I had taken a break from class, but I got started again. And I actually went back to class yesterday for the first time in a few weeks. And I saw Mira, and me and Mira said hello, but I told myself that this time I would keep everything brief. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to mind my business, do what I'm here to do, and go home. And of course, when the instructor called us in, I decided to go to an area of the studio that I usually don't go to. So for all the months that I've been going, me, Mira, Hannah, and a bunch of the other girls that I started intro with would be in the same area. So we would all dance in the same area of the studio so that we could, you know, all be together because we are all familiar with each other. But I decided that I wasn't going to be around them. I was going to do my own thing and go to a completely different area. So to give you context, you guys can think of the studio as a rectangle, and usually the group of us would be in the back right-hand corner of the studio. This time, I told myself I'm going to stay in the front left side of the studio. So as soon as I walked in, I found my spot. Who do you think came right behind me? Who do you think found themselves right in my space when I never went to that area before? She's never been in that area before. Who do you think found themselves right behind me? Hunchback Hannah. And then the whole class, she was giggling and trying to like make me feel awkward and, you know, just turning her back on me to make it seem like I'm not important. Bitch, who told you to come over here in the first place? Who told you to get in my space in the first place? I just wanted to highlight this, ladies, and I want to use myself as an example so that you guys can see the absurd bullshit that I go through, because it really is absurd and it really is sick. She could have gone anywhere else in the studio. Even Mira didn't stand behind me or in my area. She was in the back middle. So she was kind of far away from me. She was in the same kind of general area that we usually work in. For whatever reason, Hannah wanted to come right behind me. And it was just very telling for me in that moment that she's trying to push me out. She's trying to intimidate me. She wants to be seen by me, and she also wants to try to intimidate me. And because she's threatened by me, she wants to use her privilege to throw her weight around and to silently bully me, if you want to call it that. I don't know what you guys would call it. Let me know if I'm being a little too sensitive by calling it silent bullying. I don't know what you would call it, but it's some type of intimidation tactic, and it is really fucking weird. So I'm going to always use myself as an example because I know we have a lot of naysayers in this community. We have a lot of people that like to say, oh, no one's thinking about you guys. You're not that special. Get over yourself. Stop thinking so deeply into it. Okay. How do you explain what happened to me? How do you explain that? I never spoke to this woman a day in my life, but she is pressed over me. She is pressed. And how do I know she's pressed? Because she's following me around. She's looking to see who I interact with. There's times where I'll be talking to the instructor or to someone else, some other classmate. And after I talk to them, she'll say something to them just to one-up me. And it's like, girl, why are you focused on my conversations? I swear on everything I love, I never watch to see who she's talking to so I can jump in and go talk to them right after. Like right after, you know? And I see how she waits until I have a conversation with someone or talks to someone to then go behind me and try to have a conversation with them too. It's really weird. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on what type of mental illness you think Hannah has. You know we like to psychoanalyze people on this channel. So also I'd love to hear if you guys have experienced this as well. Someone just trying to intimidate you, someone who's minding your business instead of theirs. I'd love to hear your commentary down in the comment section below. And I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share any stories you have with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.